Alright, picture this, you're floating in space, inside your high-tech, multi-billion-dollar spacecraft. Everything is quiet except for the gentle hum of life support systems. And then, because you're a curious, slightly reckless scientist, you pull out a match. You strike it. What happens next? Does it ignite? Does it fizzle out? Or do you accidentally cause a catastrophic spaceship fire that makes NASA very, very disappointed in you? Before we get into the nitty-gritty of setting things on fire in the great cosmic void, let's take a moment to appreciate just how weird fire actually is. On Earth, it's something we see all the time. Candles, campfires, birthday cakes that remind you you're getting old. But here's the thing. Fire is a delicate balancing act of fuel, heat, and oxygen. Take away any one of these and poof, no fire. And space? Well, space is notorious for not playing by Earth's rules. So, what actually happens if you try to light a match in space? Buckle up, because the answer is as fascinating as it is potentially dangerous. First things first, what makes a match light? When you strike a match on Earth, you're causing friction between the match head and the striking surface. This friction generates heat, which ignites the chemicals in the match head, typically a mixture of phosphorus and oxidizing agents. Once the fire gets going, it feeds off the surrounding oxygen and burns until either the fuel runs out or you blow it out like a party trick. But here's the problem. Space is basically a giant vacuum, and what's missing in a vacuum? Oxygen. That's right, without oxygen, your poor little match won't even get a chance to ignite. You can strike it as aggressively as you want, but in the vast emptiness of space, it's going to do exactly nothing. It's like trying to start a campfire at the bottom of the ocean. Completely pointless, unless you have some other source of oxygen handy. Now, let's say you're a little more prepared. You're inside a spaceship which does have oxygen, or maybe you're in a controlled space station like the ISS. In that case, can you light a match? Yes. But it won't look like the cozy little flame you're used to seeing on Earth. Fire behaves very differently in microgravity. On Earth, fire is shaped by gravity. Hot air rises because it's less dense than cold air, creating that familiar flickering teardrop-shaped flame. But in space, with almost no gravity to pull the hot air upward, fire doesn't flicker. It forms a perfectly round ball of flame. It's like a tiny, glowing fire orb just chilling in the air. Kind of beautiful, kind of terrifying. This happens because, in space, combustion isn't driven by rising hot air. Instead, the flame expands in all directions evenly, like a slow-motion explosion. The fire is weaker, less intense, and burns at a lower temperature because there's no natural airflow to supply it with fresh oxygen. Instead of the chaotic dance of flames we're used to, you get a soft, eerie blue glow, like a ghost fire floating in the air. Now, let's talk about why astronauts aren't exactly lining up to strike matches on the ISS. Fire in space is a big deal. Without gravity to direct airflow, smoke doesn't rise. It just hangs there. Imagine a room filling with smoke that has nowhere to go. Not ideal for survival. And because flames behave differently, they don't self-extinguish as easily. If a fire starts inside a spacecraft, it can spread unpredictably, lingering longer and consuming more oxygen than you might expect. In fact, space agencies are terrified of fire. NASA, Roscosmos, and every other spacefaring organization take extreme precautions to make sure astronauts don't start unplanned fires. Matches, lighters, open flames of any kind? Banned instead. Astronauts use electric heaters for cooking, and fire safety systems on spacecraft are designed to detect and suppress fires instantly. Now, here's where things get wild. If you did somehow introduce pure oxygen, like the environment inside early Apollo spacecraft, your match wouldn't just burn. It would explode into flames. Pure oxygen environments are ridiculously flammable. This is exactly why the Apollo 1 tragedy happened. A spark inside a 100% oxygen capsule led to a devastating fire. If you ever find yourself in a pure oxygen spaceship, which hopefully you won't, striking a match would turn your small science experiment into a very bad day. So what's the takeaway? If you try to light a match in the vacuum of space, nothing happens. No oxygen, no fire, no fun. But if you strike that match inside a space station, it will ignite. Just in a weird, eerie, floating way that defies everything you know about fire. And if you somehow manage to do it in a pure oxygen environment, well, congratulations, you just turned yourself into a cautionary tale for future astronauts. At the end of the day, fire in space is both mesmerizing and dangerous. It's a perfect reminder that the universe doesn't follow Earth's rules, and the smallest change in environment can lead to completely unexpected results. If you enjoyed this fiery thought experiment, don't forget to like and subscribe for more absurd yet scientifically fascinating questions. And let me know in the comments what other ridiculous hypotheticals should we explore next. Until next time, stay curious and maybe leave the matches at home if you ever go to space.